Texas A&M to somewhere they haven't been, and that's the champion of the SEC. That's the challenges I want. That's what I want to do.
There are only 4 active head coaches with a national championship under their belt as a head coach, and we have Jimbo Mitchell here.
Y'all got stats everywhere.
He's one of them. And apparently, howdy is the appropriate way
exactly
to
right.
Howdy.
I said howdy twice. Nobody
knew.
back.
we were up there. I was like, come on.
Testing them.
I like it.
And they failed. A lot has been made about changing the culture at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
One of the things that we were wondering is the ways that you're emphasizing toughness with this team.
Well, I think first of all is accountability. I mean, you have to be accountable for everything you got to do and how you got to do it, being on time, and the way you do your job. And like I talked about a minute ago, there's a standard of excellence that you have to play with. And I don't care if you're going to be a championship team, in this league especially, the standard doesn't meet you, you meet the standard. And you're either not. In this game, in this league, the physicality of this league, week in, week out, and getting your mind, and if you don't train for it, you can't play in it. You can say, oh, well, no, you don't. Your body can't take it.
You got to make it happen.
You got to make it happen. And it's the week in, week out. I spent 13 years in this league. I was 6 at Auburn, 7 at LSU. I knew every week how you had to play. And you played Alabama. Well, then you had Auburn. Then you had Georgia. Then you had Florida. Then you had whoever it may be. There's a level you got to play that way, and then you got to practice that way. You got to make practice as physical as you can without getting the injuries, but it's got to be physical.
Coach, how will you know when you're there?
When he doesn't talk as much.
Those big games, exactly. When I don't have, here's the other thing. When I don't have to emphasize, it's not me.
Right.
It's the players doing it. When I don't have to coach that, and I'm coaching ball, that's when I'll know. And then the players are implementing it, doing it on their own.
Yeah, which takes time, obviously.
It does.
It takes time because they need to hear it over and over and over again until it gets ingrained. When you look at the staff, one thing I like, Coach, I love that you bring in Elko.
Yes.
I mean, I think A&M is not known for defense.
Yep.
It's not. That's just it hasn't been, and there's talent in the state of Texas. But talk about your decision, how you decided you wanted to go get him, how you got him away, too, because that was a tough hire.
First of all, guys you win against. And you win against them and the guys you prepare against. It just presented so many problems. And not taking away from Wake, but they didn't have a lot of first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's giving you pains in the tail and everything you're doing with those kind of athletes. And his diversity, ability to play the run and be physical, love physical football, and was diverse up front. But but understood in the secondary how to support it in different ways without exposing the secondary to give up big plays. And he was very multidimensional back there, making you think from man coverage to zone coverage to his fire zones and the way he did it. And he was tough to go against. And then, he went to Notre Dame last year and had a great year. And then just kept talking to him about being in the SEC and making the impact and getting him back down there. And it was a process. It was a process. Hey, recruit him just like you do the rest of them.
Right. Shocker, he wants to ask about defense. I want to switch to quarterback, if that's all right. You have a quarterback competition going on right now. At what point would it be ideal to make that decision?
Hey, ideally, now, but at the same time, I've been in a lot of those deals. You'll know when you know, and they will tell you, and the team will tell you.
Right.
Because what you don't know yet is how the bonding went in the offseason, how it went in the summer, who was in the film room, who was in the 7-on-7, who was leading. I think you'll start to see a lot of that. Now, both of them may. When I'm hearing, both have done really well, so we will see. But I think they will tell you, and I think your team will tell you. Yeah. I think you got to listen to everything around because it's not just what you think all the time. Often it's very much what the team thinks and who they will follow. Because part of quarterback, everybody says, well, he got the arm and he can make this. All right, but does he have the presence and command and the trust of his team? And I think they'll tell you that in camp, too.
Well, at what point, though, and this more bigger picture, not necessarily specific to your situation at Texas A&M, at what point do you think dragging out a quarterback competition can become somewhat counterproductive?
That's your last quarterback question, by the way.
Well,
it's a good question, though.
When your team tells you it is.
Yeah.
Because I think when your confusion of your team and they're not producing with either one, I think that's it. Sometimes you got to pick one. Right. I think it can be not just with them, but I think your team tells you by their performance and how they perform around them.
Sure.
Coach, we have some trivia here for you.
Right,
now that you're in the great state of Texas, the Lone Star State, apparently every Texas 7th grader has to take a civics test.
Yes.
Is that right, Greg?
This is true. Did you know this, that in 7th grade, and I went to school at a public school in the state of Texas, 7th grade history is actually Texas history, exclusive to the state of Texas.
Now, When I was in West Virginia, we had West Virginia history in the 8th grade.
Really?
Our history, God, let's go.
It was unbelievable. It was. It developed state pride.
Yeah,
you know your state. I think that's very good.
I agree.
Well, we'll see how good you are, Coach. Stay in state when you're recruiting them, right? Here we go. So I got a couple questions for you. The meaning of the name Texas is what? Friendship, money, or purity?
Wow.
This looks like it's going to be a guess.
Friendship, money, or purity?
I know. I'll tell you what it ought to be.
I'll give you 75.
I'm going to say purity.
It's friendship, but I like what you're thinking.
Well, he came because of...
No, that's not the only reason. That's not the only reason.
Very nice.
Hey. Paul got a bigger contract than me. He's the one who got
there ain't no doubt.
He's buying dinner tonight.
Money's falling out of his pockets.
Paul
I want to hear this one.
Behind us here on set. All right, let's get to another one. What state borders Texas to the west? Now, you're a recruiting guy.
New Mexico.
New Mexico is correct. See?
Boom.
You ask about the landscape of the United States. You guys know that.
By the way, I would have missed that one for sure.
No doubt.
For sure would have missed that one.
You were thinking Georgia?
No.
Arkansas?
Here's what I was thinking. Oh, Texas? I don't know.
Last one for you. What is the Texas state plant?
Texas state plant?
I know that, I think.
Cactus.
Yeah.
It is the cactus.
That's
you gotta
pretty
look out
good.
your window, right?
Bad.
See a couple of those. So,
that's a pretty solid job by him.
That was well done. We'll ask you the West Virginia ones next. I know you got those dialed in.
The road in
8th grade.
The fact that you have to compete with the 7th graders, though, that's not something we're prepared for.
Can I ask a football question again?
Only if it's about quarterback.
Okay? I'm not going to ask about quarterback. When you got there, what was the biggest thing you were surprised about when you put your eyes on your team and you saw them on the field?
Wow.
Because here's the thing. Here's what I see. I see A&M. I see facilities. I've seen players. They've had ballers.
Yeah.
But I've seen something missing for a while now. Now, I mean, so when you what was the biggest surprise about your team that you saw?
I mean,
positive or negative? I don't care.
Positive. I mean, I love the look of the team. Long, athletic, that way. I think and I don't mean it as a thing, just watching the competitiveness of everything in which they went about, where, I mean, and the physicality in which they did. Not that they weren't, they would hit you when they do it, but of practicing that way. You know what I'm saying? And doing it that way. That we needed, I thought we needed to be that way, because I know in this league, and maybe I'm that's what survives in this league. I don't care what you got. You got to have a quarterback. You got to make plays, but you got to be able to run the football. You got to be able to stop the run, create big plays, and stop big plays. And but it starts up front.
And you're going to get a real good idea of where your team ranks when you take on Clemson and Alabama in the first 4 weeks of
He's
the
used to taking on Clemson, though. He's got to play for that.
But then Mississippi State, Auburn.
It doesn't stop in September.
It doesn't matter.
Not in the SEC, it doesn't. Jimbo Fisher, thank you so much for joining us here on College Football Live.